Hey everybody, I just wanted to do a kind of a quick getting started guide for Last Epoch. I know when I first came into it, I hadn't really played a lot of ARPGs, and so I didn't know what a lot of the terms meant. Um, and also, Last Epoch definitely has its own kind of way to get started. So I wanted to make a guide for anybody, any class you want to play, to show you how to not just play your class, but to learn the game in kind of a broader way. The video will be really focused on the first 20 levels. That's really all we're going to do. But it should get you started so that later on, when you want to head into later campaign or early monoliths, you'll have kind of a good basis for how to do that. Now, I'm not going off of a build guide because I do want to show how you can use this kind of for each type of character. So what we're going to talk about are things like what skills, what gear to look for, or how to know what gear to look for, whether or not you need a loot filter, what's available in the first couple of towns you come to. So that kind of thing. I'm not going to give away any spoilers, so I'm going to be skipping ahead a lot. You'll see maybe like the first level, and then we'll kind of skip to a town, and then I'll show you some things to look out for there. But it's just kind of a way for you to get a quick start into Last Epoch. Hope you enjoy it. So the first thing the game's going to ask you is whether or not you want to start a seasonal character or a legacy character. One thing that I think that Last Epoch does really well is to make your time worthwhile. So you can pick a seasonal character. They'll start fresh for this season. You'll be able to play. You'll be able to play anything included in the current season, and when the season's done, you're moved over to Legacy. What's good about that is you're still going to get the stuff that's available in the new season. So when Season 4, Season 5, whatever comes out, your Legacy character will have access to that and their stash tab that has the stash tabs you buy that have everything in there, and any other character that you have that's Legacy. So if you start a Season 3 character, or excuse me, a current season character, it's no different than starting a Legacy one, except that you can't share stashes between a seasonal and a Legacy character. After the season's done, then they become Legacy. When it's your first character, you probably just want to do seasonal though. So we're going to do seasonal. We'll select that. And then it's going to give you your option of class. Now, I'm not going to go into each class and what they do and all this. I think the main thing to remember is you're not locked into anything except the class. So each class has masteries, and some of them are more minion based, some are single targets, some are companion based, and we'll talk about a little of that. You have the general idea though. You've got mage, rogue, sentinel, primalist, and acolyte. Okay, so for this video we're going to do a sentinel, and it'll show you their possible masteries. You can change the masteries at any time for gold, and then some of your key skills that you're going to get pretty much right off the bat, and then it'll ask you to name your character, which is always the hardest part, right? Okay, so we selected the name. The next thing we're going to do is it's going to ask you what kind of game mode you want. This part for me was a little difficult because I didn't know what all of this meant. So you've got normal or hardcore. That's pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to play normal. That's typically what I play. Then you've got challenges. Solo account found. If you click on it, it will actually describe it a little bit. So that means you can't party up with people, but you do share the stash with all of your other characters. So if you find a piece of gear on your other character that would be good for this guy, you can share it. And then solo character found means that you're not going to be able to party and you don't share a stash. Honestly, you're probably not going to do either of the challenges. For this video, however, I am going to do solo character found. I do not recommend you do that. The only reason I'm doing it in here is because I don't want access to all my crafting materials and stash, because I want to give you an idea of what it actually looks like. Not, you know, oh, I have 3,000 affix shards. Talk about those later. And now this guy has access to them. I don't want that. I want you to get an idea of what you would actually be up for. So we'll create the character, and I'll see you after the cutscene. Okay, we've gone through our cutscenes, and this is how every character starts. This is the very beginning of the very first level. So, if you take a look, you've got, of course, down at the bottom, you've got your skill bar. You can repurpose that if you would like. I play on controller, so I'm going to do that for sure. If you're on mouse and keyboard, it's really easy. You just click, and you can swap out with any skill you have. For controller, it's a little different, but not too hard. You'll hit your menu button, and it'll bring up your scroll wheel. We're going to go to skills, and we're going to swap our action bar skills. So you select one of them with the D-pad, swap action bar skills, and I'm going to move this one over here to my trigger, because I want that to be true. And I can leave that one there for now. I will get more skills later. And don't worry, nothing's going to attack you right here. But let's take a look at our skill real quick, just in case. So this one is Vengeance. So it'll give you a description of what that skill does. The main thing that you need to look at, and this goes for any character, is scaling tags down at the bottom. Notice it says physical, melee, area, strength. So as I'm playing through, I'm going to look for gear that adds physical damage, melee damage, area, or strength. Okay? Armor also is a good one for anybody, and resistances. So physical resistance in the early game like this is one of the best resistances you can have. So those are the scaling tags I'm going to look for. Now, each character is going to have different scaling tags for their first skills. So in this case, like I said, physical, if you're a caster, it's probably going to be something like spell or intellect, or it'll say something like it will have a tag on it like void, which would be void damage. So you're going to want to look for those, and as you add new skills, check those scaling tags. Really nice thing about Last Epoch is you can change these skills out anytime you want. So if you take a look, I'll get this skill at level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, and then up to 18. When I spin passives, we'll talk about that later, I get some of these as well. And once I reach level 8, I'll have 2 skills unlocked. And I can specialize in those skills. So if you look at them, you actually get a skill tree. So if you click on it or hit your interact button on your controller, whichever one you're using, I'm using Xbox, so it's A, it'll show you additional things you can do with this. So adding more damage, increasing damage against low health, Iron Blade chance, get a chance for bleed, stuff like that. So those are going to be happening later on, and I'll show you how to add those skill points and specializations. You can change any of your skill specializations at any time for no cost. You do have to earn back some of your skill points, but it happens really quickly. Never worry about switching a skill. It's something you'll do. These skills on this side are once you choose your mastery. So if you choose a Void Knight mastery, these are the ones you get. Forge Guard, these are the ones you get, and Paladin down here. So, and these over here are ones you get just for being a Sentinel. These everyone gets. Okay, so we'll play through the first level,
this
and
land is peaceful.
your first playthrough will take a few hours. Speedrunners, they'll finish the campaign in just a couple of hours. There we go, and we unlocked our next skill. Okay, so another thing to look out for are these shrines. If you notice, it says it's a critical shrine, 100% critical strike chance. So it's just going to be something that'll buff you. There are shrines like this. There are shrines that give you affix shards. There are shrines that give you an army of squirrels. They're all ones that'll help you in some way. Be on the lookout for legendary shrines. They will drop a unique item, which can be very powerful and very good early game. I got one at level 5 last season, so it's definitely something to look out for. Okay, so we've gone through the early levels, early maps, and now we get to our first camp. When we get here, there'll be some people we talk to, that kind of thing. The main thing that you want to look for here are the vendors. It will be the first time you'll be able to access your stash, as well as if you want to sell anything for some gold. Your stash is over here with the chest icon at the top. If you need your map, your mini map, just do your right stick,
I cannot do that.
And it will show you a mini map. On regular maps, it doesn't do it here apparently. But you can open your stash, and as you can see, mine's empty right now. You can stash anything you want. You've also got your vendor over here. The vendor, one of the things you might want to look for, of course, there's any items that you might need or anything. A helm, since I haven't actually found one. Rings. Be on the lookout for silver rings. They increase your movement speed and can be really good in the early game. Right now, you can tell I don't have a lot of gold, so I can't buy a lot of things. The other thing that you'll see here for this vendor, she has runes of shattering. They are 2,000 gold, and they are going to give you affix shards. So affix shards are something that you use for crafting. It is F on your keyboard or on your scroll wheel right down here for forge. And it'll allow you to craft on some of your items. Just the real quick explanation for crafting. When you have an item, whether it is a wooden shield or a dark short spear, you can craft on it. So if I pick that up and I put it over here, there we go. I have 2 T1 affixes on it, and I can add more. Problem is, early game, you don't have many crafting material. So when I go to add more, I don't have any shards that I can use. The way to fix that is to either find some, or you can buy those runes of shattering. I'll be totally honest with you, I don't think runes of shattering are good to buy early game. Definitely not this early. If you're going to buy anything, I would recommend a stash tab. So when you go to add a stash tab, you purchase it for 1,000 gold. If you want to then fill that up, you can and shatter them later. Though honestly, T1 affix will get you 1 shard at best. So it's not really worth it to shatter things for shards early in the game. I think you should just find the affix shards as you go. But if you want to try the crafting is its own mini game. So that's a little bit on crafting and inventory. The other thing I wanted to show real quick, back to this. So we've got passives and skills. I unlocked my first skill, and I can specialize in one. I'm going to specialize in Vengeance, the one we've been using. So I will click here, and it's going to highlight those. So I select Vengeance, and there we go. If I ever want to respec, it's right there. And I can either despecialize and just pick a new skill, or I can reduce its level by 1 and reallocate those points. I think I'm going to... let's do this one to start with. That'll be our first point, execution. And then the other thing we'll look at is passives. So you'll be unlocking passive points, and as you can see, I already did one, but I do have 1 unspent point, so I'll show you how this works. You'll simply read here and see which one will work best for you. Resistances and strength are always good, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with, and as you unlock those, so every level, you'll unlock passive. And you can get some other passive points along the way as well. Okay, so we've gone through the first couple of levels, had some fun fights, and we're back to town for a minute. You'll play along through your levels. Right now, I am currently at level 8, and I have some passives to unlock, and skills as well. So I have a new skill I can do, and we're going to make a selection. Just by playing this, I noticed I have been using a lot of hammer throw, which seems pretty good. Lunge is okay, not great. But one thing you'd want to look at, so remember vengeance, physical melee area strength, physical throwing attack, strength, dexterity. So strength is going to be good for both of these skills, which is something you want to look at. Whereas if you were to pick another one that maybe didn't have strength as one, it's probably not going to get you as much, like smite over here. Fire spell and attunement. So you may not want to do those early on, which I guess I can't do it early on. This one is another example. Physical would work for all three, but not strength. So I would probably stick with things that work together, at least to start with, and later on you can play around with them more. But I think I'm going to specialize in hammer throw, just for fun. We got projectile speed, damage, and attack speed. So I'm going to go... specialize, and then I'm going to go with damage and attack speed. Just a little bit of each. Like I said, there's no wrong answer for these. You can do them however you'd like. My passives, I'm going to go ahead. I've just been throwing points into this one. Okay, so we've got those. One thing I did want to show you a little bit, I was lucky enough to pick up some shards. So let's craft just a little bit. And when you're looking at armor, I'll kind of show you what I go through as far as what to look for and things like that. So sometimes you'll get stuff like this. It's a mage helmet, which means I can't wear it. It won't let you equip it at all. And it's got that X right there, so that'll definitely show you can't do it. Gloves, even though the dodge rating doesn't help me, I would rather have it than not. So I'll put those gloves on. I did find a silver ring, so I get a little bit of movement speed there. Lightning damage doesn't really do anything for me, but fire resistance is always nice. And I think I threw these new boots on. They give me a little bit of movement speed and armor compared to my old boots that didn't have any armor. I didn't get a new belt. I did get another silver ring. This one doesn't have anything on it. It is a regular item. It's not anything special. So I'm going to hold off on crafting that one, but this right here, 11% health regen, not something my build requires, but it's nice early in the game. So let's throw it in here and see if I can craft anything. So I have health regen here, and let's see, I could add some strength to it. And hey, that would work perfect for us. It's got 15 forging potential, so let's say I wanted to add strength. 1 to 14, it may use almost all of my forging potential. Also, you have this little option right here for glyphs. I did find a couple of glyphs. I'm going to put my glyph of hope. That gives you a chance to not use any of that forging potential when you craft it. So let's do that, and we'll add an affix. And there we go. It used, I think, 4 forging potential right there. And now I have something with a little bit of strength on it. And if I wanted to try to add more, nothing. So, but if you want to see what you have for affix shards, you can go to crafting materials and it'll show you any that you might have. There we go. I think having the chest piece in there was confusing it. So these are the ones I found. I found movement speed, spell damage, and reduced mana cost, and mana regeneration. Mana regen could help us, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. But movement speed, and if you notice over on the far right there, movement speed can be applied to boots, and I have some boots. So why don't I just go ahead and put it on there? There's no reason to wait. You will get plenty of shards, and you'll get new boots. You might even get some with movement speed. But I might as well throw it on there. So I used one forging potential, and now I'm a lot faster. Let's see. Doesn't look like I can add anything else to those boots, and that is fine. We'll do that. And I'm going to pull that jade ring off since it's basic, and I'm going to do this one. It's not movement speed, but the 5 health will be very good. So I'll add that on. Alright, so back to another town. We're a few levels in now, and I wanted to go over a couple of things. When you get to this town, you'll unlock your first idol slot. So one thing you're going to want to look out for are on your quest, it will have things like passive points that you can earn. And those are down here, your passive reward points. Those are how many I've earned, idle slots and passives. And you can fill those out as you go. I like to do them as you go. This one right here is what gave me my idle slot, but it'll say idle inventory expansion. And these are your idols over here. So it gave me a couple of random ones. Neither of them really do a lot for me. I'm going to toss this. And idols will start dropping for you at this point. So as we've gone along, I've gotten some gear and stuff like that. I do typically take the time to craft on the fly, but I did want to get to town to go over a couple of things. This particular town has a couple things that you might be interested in. Like we talked about, there is the brain over here where you can respec your passives if you want to, and then your stash and armorer if you need to sell anything. This town has something a little different, though.
Want to try your luck?
Has a gambler. So you can gamble to try to get better gear. And if you take a look, you can see how much. 900 for this one, 1050. It will roll rarity for you. I typically don't do a lot of it, but it is kind of a fun game if you've got the extra money, which right now we have plenty, so we could probably do. But I'm going to wait because there's a couple pieces of gear I picked up and a couple things I wanted to go over with crafting. So let me actually move this over real quick so we can see a little easier. And open our forge, and let's take a look. Okay, so I noticed one of... There we go. So crafting, I don't know if I've quite mentioned this, it's its own mini game. And there are lots of different pieces you can use. This one has two really good things for us. So it has physical damage and melee damage. Physical damage is good for pretty much all of our skills right now. And I could add more to it. Health on kill, stun with melee attacks, which is pretty good for us. I already have physical damage on there, so I can't apply that again. But one thing that I did get is a rune. So you get different runes. I've gotten a couple runes of shattering, so I could take things off. You also have runes of discovery. You don't use them much later in the game, but what it's going to do is it's going to add 2 more affixes to this. So it'll give me a full 4 affixes on it. So if I tell it I want to roll some random affixes, I've got 2 good ones. Let's see if it gives me anything good. Shred armor on hit is really good. So I've got that. I'm going to go ahead and upgrade it a little more for physical damage. And it'll let me do it one more time. There we go, tier 3 physical damage. So really good. And that is all I can upgrade on this one. So I'm actually gonna I'm gonna drop that one. Put it here. That is a much better sword for us. Same thing, I found a couple of others that I can swap out. This one has physical resistance and vitality. I might be able to upgrade the strength, though. So there we go. And notice I still have my Glyph of Hope on. Always want to try to have that. So it gives me 3 strength, which will be an increase. Vitality will give you a little bit of health. So that's a nice thing to have. Physical resistance, dodge. I have quite a bit of dodge just from the things I found. Not too much to worry about, though. It's not something you're going to be required to have, for my build anyways. I also found this one has hammer throw damage. I'm actually going to do my other Rune of Discovery with it. It is a decent helmet, and even though I'm leveling up, I might as well throw some stuff on there. Armor is great. Level of Healing Hands. So you will get affixes that level up your skills. Right now, I'm not using Healing Hands. But were I to spec into that skill, which I think is a, yeah, Paladin, right there, it would give me an extra point. So when I'm selecting my points of my skill tree, I get 1 more to do than what I've already earned. So that's just a little on crafting there. All right, everybody. So that should just about take us through level 20. What we did was started off the game, got an idea of our skills, got an idea of some of the gear, how we advance that gear through the first couple of levels, and then how to select skills off of the gear you have, as well as gearing yourself for those skills, and then how to open up those idle and passive slots, how to level up, and how to eventually pick your mastery. That should take you on to level 20. The only thing I really haven't talked about, and I was going through because I kind of wanted to show you this. As you go along, loot will drop more and more often. With a game like this, it's a good idea to get a loot filter. Loot filters aren't super complicated to make. You can make them super basic. I have a basic one that I typically use, and I can throw that in the description. So that'll be down there. You do have to do some work on this loot filter. If you don't want to do work, you're going to have to find a build guide. There are lots of leveling guides out there. I'd recommend any of the ones off of, or excuse me, any one for like Sentinel or your class, Last Epoch Tools or Max Roll. They both have good ones. And actionrpg.com. They have some good build guides too. They all have some different kind of quirks to them. Pick whichever one you like. Use some skills that you like, that kind of thing. But don't be afraid to try them out. That's honestly how I have learned this game myself, is simply trying different builds. Like, I'll throw on a build for a little bit. If I'm vibing with it, great. If I don't like it so much, I'll switch off and do something else. It's really easy to gear up for some of these if you're playing for a good amount of time. And once you're higher level, it's easier to switch gear over to different ones because you find stuff and that kind of thing. So we talked about those. Going forward after level 20, you're going to have more leveling. You'll hit monoliths. You'll get to pick your item faction, so either Circle of Fortune or Merchant's Guild. Sorry, couldn't remember. So you'll have those to pick. There's all kinds of other things. This is really just get you started, get you out of the gate, and let you have some fun now. Now that you're kind of looking around, check out one of those leveling guides that, like I said, they'll have their loot filter. I'll kind of show you, like I said, the basic loot filter that I use, and you can make all kinds of changes to loot filter. So I hope you enjoyed it, and have fun with Last Epoch.